These are the videos for the KRC 900 color changer. This is part 1, stripes. These are the parts that are in a complete kit. This is how you set up a proper color changer setup. And this is all I got. So let's do stripes. Let's start with a soap sock. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the fact that I have 2 mastheads. 2 tension rods, 1 and 2. And I have 4 yarn colors. Because there are 4 slots on my color changer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load each of the colors onto the color changer. Color number 1 is blue. I'm just going to lock it in down here. Color number 2. Well, actually, I'm doing things backwards. Number 4 is blue. 3 is red. 2 will be white. And 1 will be gray. So I'm now loading number 3, which is red. And I'm going to lock it in down here. This is the white. It's in slot 2. And this is the gray. This will be slot 1. Now the problem with the gray is that it can't really go anywhere just yet. Because we have to lock it in after we grab the blue. Okay, so everybody's loose. I'm going to lower my bed, grab them all underneath, pull them all equally, a little bit of slack on all of them. I'm going to lock them into the yarn lock or yarn break that is on the bottom of the ribber. All right, taking a deep breath. We're not going to worry about that one just yet. We're going to set up for knitting a soap sock. So to demonstrate how the color changer works, we are going to put a sock on a homemade soap. This is my super fancy soap. It is goat milk, honey, and oatmeal. And we're just going to make a little sock to encase it so that the soap lasts longer and I have a use for all the fleece that I have. Yeah, there's a story behind that. So, what I decided was that if I do 10 stitches total, so 5 on either side is 0, and then I do just inside of each, and a half pitch, of course, so full needle rib, that should encapsulate this soap. And then because I'm using 100% pure wool, as hot water touches this sock, it will shrink because that's the nature of wool. Wool doesn't like to be abused. So as you abuse the soap, the wool will shrink around it and it'll just keep shrinking with the bar of soap. That's the theory. So what I'm going to do is I am going to knit across, and I'm going to pick up my gray yarn. Okay, so we're going to pick up the gray yarn, put it into the holder, and we're going to go all the way across to the blue, and we're going to pick up the blue yarn. Now the blue yarn is loaded. I'm going to use that as waste yarn. I'm going to back up the camera so that you can actually see everything that is going on as it is happening instead of me having to pause, move the camera, do something, pause, move the camera. Okay, so I have as much in the frame as I can with my camera. We are now going to set our carriages to 0 and 0. Everything is knitting in every direction. So this is the setup row for full needle width on a teeny tiny little span. I have horseshoes, and I happen to have the smallest of the cast-on combs, and that is what I'm going to use. You can use any size cast-on comb that you have. If you could find a short one, pick it up. Doesn't matter if it's for bulky or if it's for standard. It'll work on the bulky. So that's the entire width of this thing. I am now putting on all of one weight. That's all it needs, just one. I'm going to part going to the right on the main bed and going to the left on the ribber. I'm going to increase my tension to 2 so that I do not forget. And now I'm just going to knit about 10 rows. Okay, I have knit 10 rows. I have stopped on the left hand side. I now need to change yarns. So I'm going to go all the way across. Now you heard that click. If I press number 2, what happens is yarn 1 is now locked into the slot, and it is being taken out of the connecting arm for the ribber. Yarn number 2 has been pushed out. Well, that is yarn number 2. Has been pushed outward, and it'll now be captured by that little hook in your ribber. So that's a pretty cool thing that the color changer does and how it works. I am now going to hang on to the white yarn tail that we started with because I don't want it to be excessively long. I want it to be more responsible for the cost of this yarn and the number of projects I need to complete with this yarn without buying any more. Hope that makes sense. So I'm going to hold this yarn at center on my lap so that I don't have too long of a yarn tail. So I'm going to come across. I'm going to knit 1 on the ribber, and number 2 is on the main bed. Hang on, yarn problem. I'm now going to reset my row counter to 2. I'm now going to repeat this process of going 1, 2. My row count says 4, but I've done 2 rounds. I am now going to swap out to the color red. So I'm hanging on to the tail of the red, locking it in, pressing number 3, which is my red, and I'm coming across. Again, I want to maximize the number of projects I can do with these colors. I am now going to hold on to the red closer to the bed, but still 4 times around. Now what just happened is I lost these 2 stitches. So I'm just going to pause and I'm going to save them. Alright, salvaging them was not that hard. I'm just going to manually knit with this red. Not a big deal. Okay. Holding onto my yarn ends. I'm now going to knit 2 more rows, or 2 more on the row counter. 1. Now I have trust issues, so I'm just going to move these forward for this time. Okay, so that's 4 more rows with red. I'm now going to switch back to the white yarn. You can see how it's nicely come around. All right. I'm going to knit another 4 rows with white. 1. Just watching to make sure that my tension rod isn't catching. 2, 3. I am now done with the white. I'm going to go park it and grab the gray. Again, I'm grabbing the yarn tail of the gray. All right, so this is the last time that we have to change colors. I am now going to knit until my row counter says 40. So that's like another 28 rows, I think. Yeah, it should be 28 rows. Now what you will notice is that nothing should forget to knit, because we are on the outside edge of the tension masts, so none of these colors should intermingle and all the tensions should be even. So like I said, I will knit to row 40. And that's it, row 40. I can now leave a nice generous yarn tail. So all the way to the end. I'm going to snip it, clip it, save it. Now, I need to ensure that my project does not get lost. So I'm going to lower my bed by 1 click. I'm going into a bodkin or double eye needle, and I am just going to very carefully grab each of the ribber stitches and then pull my yarn tail through. I will come back when the ribber is all on yarn. Alright, so they are now off the ribber. Moving these all forward, taking off the weight. I'm now going to very carefully weave my double eye into each of these stitches, instead of taking them off one by one, because my bodkin is long enough that I can actually do most, if not all of them, without having to go all the way through. Okay, these are now safe. It's all through. I can put that away for now. Totally safe. Removing my cast on comb. Sorry for my head noise. All right. Now, one of the things that I don't want to do is I don't want to leave really long yarn tails on these. So I'm going to grab the yarn and leave a couple inches, and I'm just going to cut it so that I have this little tiny sock. And I'm just going to very carefully put these yarn tails back into the yarn break. Alright, so now I have a perfect little sock for my perfect little soap, which will go right in that little sock. And I will, after I do all the yarn and tail securing, what I will do is I will come, no, I'm not going to come, I'm going to show it to you. I will take this tail, I'm going to secure all of these stitches, and they will be just like these stitches up here, so that I can gather them up, and then it'll be a perfect oval. So I will do that now. And then I will remove the waste yarn carefully, and then move the rest of the yarn tails into the sock for securing. So this is the last one. Okay. So if I look at this, it went through that one, so now it needs to go through this one. Out. In. Just like we did on the main bed. You want to make sure that you are leaving enough. Okay. Those are all through. It's secured here, coming back here, and secured. All right. So, in order to complete this, I need only snip this here and pull this here, disconnect it. Okay, now this one, it's already clipped here, so now I can just clip it here. So I clip this one, pull this one, and our little sock is now free. So now I need to move the red, this other white, and this gray inside. So the best way I know to do that is with the latch tool. Okay, so we're going to go in between, grab this little white one, bring it inside. Okay, we're going to go up with the red, in between, grab it with the latch tool, and it goes in. This red one needs to stay secured, so we're going to go in between its neighbor and bring it inside. Okay, now with this gray one, we're going to go one ladder up, and we're going to bring it to the inside. Okay, so now we're going to flip it inside out. Now we're going to look at only these 4. Okay, I'm not going to get confused. I want to make sure that this is all secure, that nobody's coming apart, nobody's angry. Okay, I'm going to very carefully tie a knot in this one. And answer my phone. Okay, sorry about that. So what I did was I tied a knot and then I just used my latch tool to make sure it was secure. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I'm just going to tie a simple knot. Grab it. Pull it through. And then it's there. And then these yarn ends, I'm just going to make them into a chain with my latch tool. When I can't make any more good loops, then I just pull it all the way through. And one more. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Now I'm going to tighten up this white part. Sorry if I'm out of frame. Okay, looks like it's pretty good. Grab my favorite tool. And I'm going to go back through those same loops, partially, tightening it up. Okay, that's nice and tight. Double back on itself. Still nice and tight. Now I'm going to use that latch tool again. I'm going to work its way through here. Up to this red one. Okay, makes a nice little loop, and now it's secure. Trim this one to that length, this one to there. Okay, everyone's about the same. Now I can just put this piece of soap in here and close it up if I want to, and it's not a big deal. But because my soap is yellow and you know this is all pretty and stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of fleece and I'm just going to wrap it in a little bit of fleece and give it a little bit more cushion. You don't need a lot. You just want to make sure that you keep it centered. You don't want to have it lopsided. If you don't have fleece, you don't need fleece, you can use yarn scraps too. Especially if you work with wool, keep your yarn scraps. You can fluff them back out into, well, fleece. So I'm going to very carefully tuck this extra fleece underneath the sock. Okay, I'll just work it around, up and down. In again. Okay, so this is like the easiest thing that you can do with your color changer. It makes socks with colors on them. Why not? Make yourself a nice pair of old school wool socks. And yeah, you can have some fun with it. Or you can put in a punch card and do some 2-color slip in full needle rib, also known as jacquard. So in the next video, we're going to play with my favorite punch card, which I have already prepared for double jacquard, and we're going to knit a simple panel in double jacquard using our bulky KH260. It'll blow your mind.